The views and opinions expressed on this program are not necessarily those of this station, JVC Broadcasting Management, or its sponsors.
With so many people living longer, the fear of outliving your money becomes a reality for many of us. Will I be a financial burden? Will I outlive my money? How will I be remembered? My name is Neil Himmelstein, president of Main Street Planning Group. Please contact me by visiting mainstreetplanninggroup.com. That's mainstreetplanninggroup.com, or call 631-647-4694. I will introduce you to strategies that will guarantee you will not outlive your money, that can guarantee you will not be a burden on your loved ones. Through a collaborative approach, we will uncover solutions that offer tax-efficient strategies, lifetime income, and legacy planning, choice, organization, direction, and education. That is the code we stand behind. Contact mainstreetplanninggroup.com, that's mainstreetplanninggroup.com, or call 631-647-4694. And listen to me every Friday at 3 p.m. as I host the Main Street Code for Financial Success, right here on 103.9 LI News Radio. Good afternoon. Welcome to the Main Street Code for Financial Success. I'm your host, Neil Himmelstein, and I can be reached at 631-647-4694. You can always visit me on my website at mainstreetplanninggroup.com. We encourage you to ask lots of questions, and if there's anything that you hear today that you question, or you have any questions whatsoever about what we have to talk about, I'm happy to listen to you. I'm happy to work with your advisor. We work with hundreds of advisors across the country, helping them in the areas of life insurance, annuities, disability, long-term care insurance, and financial planning. And we coordinate with our financial partners, our strategic partners in the area of legal and accounting, to make sure that you can retire comfortably. And not only can you retire comfortably, but in retirement, lots of times there's planning that you have to do. Our code is choice, organization, direction, and education. And we're not committed to any one company or any one thing. Any advice you get from us is completely independent and always going to be top quality advice on what to do regarding your planning and in your insurance matters. One of the things we talk about is income for life. We have strategies that can give you income for life, money you cannot outlive. So if you are on a budget or whatever it is, you want to know that your expenses are paid for pre-retirement, post-retirement, and after retirement. And we do this with a number of products. We can do this with annuities. And also there's life insurance now, cash value life insurance that actually has riders now. When we talk about living benefits, they actually will guarantee you a certain amount of money for your retirement. By the way, that money is all tax-free money. For those of you who are retired and you've done great and you've saved up in your 401k or your pension, and you're either getting an income or you have this nice 401k or IRA, and you're saying, yeah, but every time you touch it, you get taxed. Wouldn't it be great to have tax-free money for as long as you live as another source of income? Tax-free money? How valuable is that? And I like to talk about income for life, and I talk about taxes because we don't talk about just your assets being diversified in asset classes. I talk about your tax classes being diversified. It's so important. What are you getting for tax deductions today? And what are you getting for tax deductions in the future? And what's coming into you tax-free? And what's coming into you taxable? This all comes into play. And if you are retired or about to retire, it's not how much money you have. It's never about how much money you have. It's about how much income you have. Because it's about income and expenses. And then it comes to, what do you want to leave behind as your legacy? And hopefully you want to leave some sort of legacy as why you're on this planet. But you also don't want to outlive your money. And that's so crucial. And with us living longer and having more issues, we have to find strategies to not only have an income for life, but protect it from any of the evils. evils being, what could happen before I'd pass away? Well, there's the old joke, death and taxes are inevitable. Death, taxes, and some sort of long-term care are inevitable. And I do want to touch on taxes again for the moment. So, as I have the news on, as many of you do, you can't turn it off. Unfortunately, I'd love to turn it off. The political stuff is crazy right now. But there's something very, very crucial that you have to be aware of. And that is that we are in a situation now where we have massive inflation. I've been talking about this for weeks on my show. Anybody that listens to my show, massive inflation. Not only do we that, we're in tremendous debt. Right now, our country is in tremendous debt. Our state's in debt. Our cities are in debt. It's inevitable. Yet in politics right now, they're talking about spending plans. We're going to spend money on this. And yes, we need so much. There's so many things that have happened that we need as a society to sustain our lifestyle. So how does the government repay that debt that they have or get back to some semblance of balancing a budget and then have spending programs? Well, there's only one way they can, and that's to generate money or spend less. You know, in your own budget, you either have to spend less, cut, or do something, or make more income. That's your two choices. So the only option they have, okay, is to bring in more money. How does the government bring in more money? Well, taxes. It's inevitable. The tax laws are changing. It's inevitable. Not only that, with inflation and interest rates coming up and the market being so high, it's inevitable we're due for some sort of market correction. I dare to use the word crash. It is coming soon. So if you're feeling fat and happy and all invested in stock and you're all in, please diversify. Please talk to us. Please protect what you have. It's time to take money off the table and deposit it in different areas and make sure that your money doesn't run out. This is why we talk about income strategies and protection strategies. You want to make sure that that money is there for you for the rest of your life, or even if you're in the accumulating pre-retirement or just starting to work, you need to be saving and not all in stock, not all growth, because the market is going to change. It's inevitable. The signs are there. Please, I don't want to say doom and gloom. Preparation is the key. Planning is the key. You know, I had this discussion with somebody the other day, and they said, well, you know, how about these people that you work with, Neil, that are retired? Why do they need you? Well, just because you're retired doesn't mean your money stops or your bills stop. You still have bills. You're still retired, and there's still a lot of planning to do. The market changes. The world changes. The world is changing so rapidly with COVID, with things that are going on politically. I don't even want to talk politics. It's insane out there. Absolutely insane. And the noise is killing me. I'm sure you are too. Well, you know, this one's fighting that one. But it all comes down to, how does it affect me? How does it affect my dollar? How does it affect my life? Well, be prepared for taxes. Be prepared for market corrections, and be diversified. That's my words for the day. Now, some of the tax legislation that is being proposed right now, there's a lot of it on the table. One of the big things is the estate tax. Maybe right now there's an 11 million exemption per person, but in New York it's only 5 million. There's a New York tax and a federal tax. It is going to sunset in 2025 if they don't make immediate changes. So while you're comfortable in that nice range right now, and you got to think about the future, not what you have now. What are you going to have now 20 years from now, 10 years from now, 30 years from now? It's going to come down to 6 if they do nothing. They're looking to do something now, why they need to raise taxes. But the other big thing that they're doing with estate tax and everything else, if you're in that situation, or your parents, your grandparents, and they're sitting on a lot of money and they want it to go to you, not the government or not somewhere else where they don't want to spend that money. I mean, it's great to leave money to the government, but the government's going to spend it as they see fit, not as you see fit. So we need to protect that money. And there's ways of doing it with the proper planning, and that's what we do. So with that coming, they're also looking at decoupling the gift tax. And you know what? We're going to come back after the commercial and talk a little bit more about that. You're listening to the Main Street Code for Financial Success. I'm your host, Neil Himmelstein. You can look at my website, mainstreetplanninggroup.com, or reach me at 631-647-4694. Welcome back to the Main Street Code for Financial Success. I'm your host, Neil Himmelstein. You can reach me at 631-647-4694. Today we're talking about what's going on in the world. The biggest thing we talk about is having an income stream for the rest of your life. Taxed, tax-favored, tax-free. But outliving your money is one of the biggest fears we have, and we have strategies so that you can have an income for life. You can also have a tax-free income for life if you use the strategies correctly. One of those is life insurance, where you can put money in and have a guaranteed income stream for the rest of your life, tax-free, nothing else. One of the other strategies is annuities. And one of the things I talked to about with attorneys this week was Roth Iras. There's a lot of tax changes amidst. If you listened to me before the break, we were talking about how taxes are going to be changing very quickly and why. We are in tremendous, tremendous debt right now as a government. We've never seen such debt. And the government is very ambitious about spending more money for more social programs. And both things can't happen. Neither thing can happen unless we pay down our debt. And in any scenario, the government needs to raise more money. So they need to raise taxes. So there's a lot of things they're looking at. One of the things we talked about before the break is the estate tax. Right now, it's at a threshold where you can pass on $11 million per person. We anticipate it going down to $6 million. The law is going to sunset. In New York, you get taxed if you have your net worth over $5 million. That's not just your stocks. They look at your business. They look at your house. They look at everything and total it all up. It's not just what you have in the bank or what you have in the stock market. They look at the value of your house. They look at that. Everything is taxable. They look at the value of your life insurance as well. So you might have a $2 million life insurance policy and only be worth like $3 million. But with that in combined, if that's not in a trust, that's all taxable as part of your estate. $1 over $5 million, New York State charges you 10%. Okay, $500,000, you just want to give it away to the government? That's great. You need to protect yourself. You need to do it the right way. But one of the other things I was talking about with an estate attorney this week is one of the things that's going to be affected is potentially Roth IRAs. Now, in the beginning of the year, there was a strategy called a stretch IRA. And I know that the stretch IRA was a very popular strategy for people to leave money to their heirs, their IRAs to their heirs, where they could stretch out the income for the rest of their life, and they would only be taxed as they took the money. The government took that away, and nobody even realized it. So there's no stretch IRAs anymore. What happened is they put in something called the Secure Act at the beginning of COVID. This is actually a year and a half ago. And then they're forcing that IRA distribution out over the 10 years after you pass. That generates taxes. The Roth IRAs, they're now talking about taking Roth IRAs, and if you make over a certain amount of money, that you can't do Roth IRA conversions. You could do it this year. You know, if you're a high net worth person, you can convert your IRA to a Roth IRA. Why would you want to do that? Well, the nice thing about a Roth IRA is that money comes out tax-free currently, which is a great thing. But if you're making a certain income, you can't really contribute to a Roth IRA, nor can you do those conversions if they change the law. And the biggest thing that we were talking about, this was just yesterday we talked about this, is you know what? We have a very big lobby in the life insurance and annuity world. There's no lobby for IRAs or Roth IRAs or some of these other tax deductions and plans and this and that. It's not represented by companies and people like us protecting our industry. So they can change those laws. They can change the taxability of capital gains, which they're looking to do. They can change the step up in basis, which I don't think is on the table today, but was, which means a step up in basis is I have a house that I paid $100,000 for. It's now worth $1 million. It's passed on in kind. You don't have to pay a gain. They were talking about taxing, not even if we're wealthy, not even if we're super wealthy, but taxing the middle class on passing our houses off to our children. That's a big worry. Or our stock accounts. Right now, they assume the value that it's at, not the value that we paid for it. So this is a big deal. So there's a lot of things going on, but there's without question the government has to raise money. And they're looking at all areas. Thankfully, they're not looking at life insurance because it's very much protected. Annuities are very much protected. They're very much credit shelter proof, as well as you can guarantee yourself an income for the rest of your life. What a great concept. Guaranteed income for the rest of your life. Guaranteed tax-free income for the rest of your life if you start early enough. Tax-free or tax-favored income for the rest of your life. And then we look at protection. The biggest thing I learned last week when I did 2 shows with Medicare Mike last week, and we talked about something that's very, very important. A lot of people today are do-it-yourselfers. They're on the internet. Oh, I'm going to buy this. I'm going to buy life. I would not recommend you buy any insurance, anything. I don't care if it's homeowners. I don't care if it's Medicare. I don't care if it's life insurance online or from an 800 number. Because you need somebody to help you when it's claim time. Okay, there's a million reasons why you don't want to do it, but one of the things is this, is help you when it's claim time. Or let's say you bought a MetLife policy, or you bought AIG Direct, or one of these companies direct, okay, and you want to change the beneficiary, you want to put it in a trust. You call 1-800 that insurance company and try and navigate it. You can't do it. You'll spend hours. I had an attorney with a situation last year who wanted to move his life insurance policy into a trust. For 8 months, he tried to do this. He says, I'm talking to an insurance company in the Philippines. I said, friend, send me over the policy information. In 15 minutes, I had it done. He doesn't speak life insurance. I do. He speaks attorney speak. That person in the Philippines on that 800 number had no idea what he was talking about. It was a very simple move, a very simple transaction, if you know what you're doing. We had a situation where I had a person who drove a truck, and they had a lot of accident insurance because they were afraid. I drive a truck, and I bought accident insurance everywhere. Well, they didn't want to pay him his claims because he had a heart attack before he had the accident. They said the accident was due to the heart attack, not because of him getting in an accident. So his family was going to be out $500,000, except they were smart enough to call me, and I got them every single penny. I didn't charge for it. I did it because that's what I do. I'm here to protect the consumer. The consumer is the key. You need to, whatever product you buy, you need to buy it from an agent, a person, somebody you can call if you want to make changes, if you want to do something else, somebody who's watching your back. And all of your insurance policies, I don't care what type of insurance, should be reviewed on an annual basis. Everything changes. Companies go in, companies go out. Who would have thought 10 years ago that a company that was established 150 years ago okay, MetLife, okay, one of the biggest insurance companies in the world, would stop selling life insurance. MetLife. So if you bought MetLife policies and you now want to say, okay, I'm older or I've got a health condition and I now want to convert it, because they gave you conversion privileges to say that, oh, you can convert it at the health you were when you bought this thing. What a great thing to have in a life insurance policy. Yeah, but they have the most expensive whole life you could possibly convert it to, no matter how you were rated. So it needs to be reviewed. Maybe you're in the wrong policy. It was a great policy when you bought it, but maybe today it's not. And that's why you need to reach out to the Main Street Planning Group. I'm your host, Neil Himmelstein. I could be reached at 631-647-4694. You're listening to the Main Street Code for Financial Success. You can check me out on my website at mainstreetplanninggroup.com. It is a gorgeous day here on Long Island, and I hope that you come back next week at 3 o'clock to join us. We're going to have some special guests with us, and have a lovely day here on Long Island.
The views and opinions expressed on this program are not necessarily those of this station, JVC Broadcasting Management, or its sponsors.